It's tough for me to know where to start because I've spent decades in various parts of the music industry. I spent my 20s as a touring musician and a recording artist. I spent my 30s as a music engineer, recording engineer, and producer. And then I spent my 40s as a technician. So that basically meant that I was going into recording studios and repairing whatever was broken, maintaining whatever needed maintaining. And after about 10 years of that, I started thinking about what I wanted to build and make. I was tired of fixing things. And along the way, I sort of serendipitously ran into a couple of guitar amps that were really unusual to me, and they represented like a path less taken in terms of guitar tones. They're British, they were really old. I ran into them because I was working for established celebrity guitar players who had really exotic collections of amps, and I got to have access to that. So I took some inspiration from some of those amps, and that's where Balthazar Audio Systems got started. The appeal of the Film Noir is that it's like all modern amps and boutique amps, is probably derived from something that came along earlier. The difference is that what it's derived from is a much rarer creature than I think a lot of people are used to. So I was really inspired by old Watkins amplifiers. I was inspired by old Selmer amplifiers, the very first Vox amplifiers. Having access to those and great examples of those older amplifiers kind of blew me away, and I realized that there was a whole world out there that sort of had not really been explored in terms of these early tones that worked so well with modern music. And that's when I decided to pursue this, when I knew that I was onto something kind of unique that wasn't, that's not to say that there's anything wrong with going down the Fender or the Marshall path, but it was divergent from there, and that kind of turned me on. So the Film Noir 18, which is the one we're just about to put out, it's an 18-watt amplifier. It's got two EL84s. It's cathode biased, which gives it a kind of a softer, rounder tone, sort of like people would be used to with like a Vox AC30, something like that. But what is unique about it is it's coupled to an older Selmer preamp design, which I like because I feel that the tone controls on it are really responsive. It's very clean, and then when you overdrive it, it's just got this particular character that I really like. So that comes in a little combo. It's a 112 combo, and right now we use a Celestion Alnico Gold speaker with that. The Film Noir 50 is the amp that started it all. And that is very much inspired by a Selmer treble and bass Mark I. Those were made in about 62 to 64 with distinctive crocodile skin Tolex, which we have chosen to reproduce as best we can. And that's a 50-watt amplifier with two EL34s and a pair of 12AX7s. And it's an amp that can go from very clean and jangly to a really nice, raw, overdriven, like power amp overdrive sound. The amps that I was initially inspired by, they kept coming to my bench, and I kept repairing them, and I kept asking myself, why do I like these so much? What is it about these? Because there was overtly nothing that like really jumped out at me. But the thing about the early Selmer amps that really inspired me was that they sounded almost like recorded versions of amps, and they responded in ways that I wasn't used to, but that were really pleasing to me. You could back off your guitar and everything would clean up really nice, and then you could turn up the guitar volume and all of a sudden have a great overdriven tone. Things like that are kind of tough to come by. You kind of have to pick a side with whatever kind of amp and channel you're working with, and that's why there are amps with lots of channels. So I like to think that what you can do is you can take a single channel amp and you can basically have like a whole set of tones available to you by virtue of your guitar volume, by virtue of some well-chosen pedals, and the rest is up to you. I mean, the reason for being for Balthazar Audio Systems is to give people unique boutique amplifier tones that haven't been mined yet. So I'm taking people down a road less traveled.